Hello, everybody. My name's Isaiah, and today I'm going to be analysing I Loved Her First by Heartland. But in fact, I'm not really going to be analysing that song. I'm going to instead be analysing I Loved Her First by Lorne Armstrong because I believe the song is entirely different when sung by Lorne Armstrong. The song has a different meaning. Now, the Heartland version, it's got the same lyrics and everything, but the Heartland version is about a father at his daughter's wedding giving her hand in marriage to her new husband, and then he's kind of watching and reflecting on how he loved her first, and how, the father was the first man in his daughter's life. Blah, 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 from the first breath she breathed when she first smiled at me, like how is she the same freckle-faced kid that I knew? It's just about a father reflecting on his time with his daughter when he gives her hand in marriage to her husband, and kind of like look after her. She was my baby girl, my precious little princess. But Lorne Armstrong's interpretation, I believe, even with the same lyrics, has some pretty twisted undertones to it, and it's a completely different song in my opinion. And in conjunction with the chat and everything that happened with the decoy Kayla Marie Moore, I believe that there's some twisted symbolism behind the song, and Lorne may not have known at the time, but I feel like he picked I Loved Her First for a reason when he sang it over the phone. Why did he pick it? We'll never completely know. He may have just been the first song that popped to his head, but I feel like deep in his subconscious, he picked this song because it may have reflected how he was feeling at the time. And that is a twisted, deranged person with a relationship with his daughter that is both sexual and parental. It's a twisted. It was very obviously what Lorne had with Caleb was fucked up, but there were other twisted factors to it, and one of them is that there was a kind of blurring between the lines of whether Lorne was acting as a father figure or sexual partner. Now, obviously, Lorne was acting more like a sexual partner, but at times it seemed like he was kind of playing the father. And I don't have the chat log up at the moment. I actually don't have the chat log, so if someone could email it to me, that'd be great. But basically, Lorne, he called her his precious little princess, his little baby girl. But when he said it, it kind of felt like he was referring to her as his daughter. And this time a year and a half ago, I could bring up multiple examples of how you could say, is he talking to his daughter here or his girlfriend? But I can't think of any at the moment, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm just going to go through the song though and look at the lyrics through the eyes of Lorne Armstrong. And really, it gets pretty fucked up. So, first line, look at the two of you dancing that way, lost in the moment in each other's face. It's kind of like him reflecting on the both of them dancing, I feel. When he finally gets to meet Kayla and he's lost in her face. It's kind of like the thought I get when I think of Lorne sitting on that couch with that big goofy smile, sitting on the couch, lost in her face, because he was mesmerized. It was the happiest moment of Lorne's life. At least since he knew Paula. Paula was his fiance, I believe, that cheated on him. Prior to meeting Kayla, I could safely say that the happiest moment in Lorne's life was when he proposed to Paula and she said yes. That was the last time Lorne was most likely happy. So much in love, you're alone in this place, like there's nobody else in the world. And that's Lorne's life for that month. He was alone, not necessarily dancing with her. I'm looking at it a bit broadly and deeper, but he was alone in his apartment with nothing. Like, he did not even have a bed. He was, in terms of tangible objects, there was nothing else there. People, just people who were using him, his neighbors would come in, use the phone, use his truck, white truck, use just all, you would use him. And he'd have friends he'd go out to karaoke with, but if one of my friends was, down and out, sleeping on the floor, like, I'd look out for him. I'd see how he was going. But for a month, none of them helped him out. None of them, I'd put money and help a friend get a bed. I mean, maybe they didn't know he was that down and out. Because Lorne tries to, I don't know whether Lorne sulks or, confides in his friends about how poor he is and how bad he's going. Because I don't know him that well. He may be a proud person and try to, make out that he's doing well, that everything's okay. He might be one of those kinds of people. I don't know. Ember would know, but I feel like this line, like there's nobody else in the world, Lorne was alone and in a dark, dark place. That is a true fact. But it doesn't mean you should go out and try and rape a 13-year-old girl. It does not mean that. I was enough for her not long ago. Now, what could this line be talking about here? Really, this line maybe doesn't really reflect Lorne's experience that much. At the start of the chat log, he was, very, very close with Kayla, and then he finds out that she starts going to, Jesse's house more often, seeing her friends. And he may be thinking at the start of the chat log, he spent a lot more time just with her, and she would stay home for Lorne. Obviously, the decoy has shit to do in her life. Cherry twist. She probably has errands to run, jobs to work. But at the start of the chat log, you'd see that the decoy would probably have more vested interest in chatting with the predator. And, it's a month-long chat, so obviously the decoy would start to bloody die out and start, the fire would die out. You'd tire, you just drag out, you'd burn out. That's what I was trying to say. You'd burn out. And I think as Sherry Twist started to burn out during the chat log, he started to realize that maybe he wasn't enough for Kayla. Maybe Kayla was starting to realize that he's just a loser without a bed, pursuing a dream that isn't real, and that's it. Her parents are doctors and she lives in a mansion, for God's sake. She knows what is enough for her, and Lorne isn't enough for her. I was her number one, and she told me so. She does still say that, but again, like, Kayla does start to, find other things, go to Jesse's house more often, say I can't talk now, starts to kind of hit back at Lorne a few times. And she still means the world to me, just so you know, so be careful when you hold my girl. Kayla always meant the world to Lorne. In that month, Kayla was his most prized possession. Lorne would probably have given up one of his own body parts if it meant that Kayla would still be with him. Because Lorne is a very possessive person. He needs a woman in his life. Just like with the whole Ramona situation, Lorne gave up the internet, and he's fine with it. He's fine with having no internet as long as Ramona's there for him. And giving up the internet's a lot for a girl. For me personally, I don't think I could give up the internet for a girl. The internet is a pretty big part of my life, even just Facebook, let alone the use of it for study, research, and just entertainment purposes. I don't think I could. And Kayla meant the world to him. Ramona means the world to him, and he's doing that already for her. Be careful when you hold my girl. And that line right there is really the major point of interest, and that's with Derek. Now, the jealousy Lorne harbors towards Derek is, in my opinion, the funniest part of the chat log. Sherry Twist does an amazing job at it. I think I've got a really crappy video about it. I made like a year ago, but it's just so fascinating, and he's so possessive, and he just cannot deal with the fact that 50% of the population are male, and you're going to come across them every now and then, and they're going to have to deal with your girlfriend. And the whole doctor scenario with Ramona is absolutely classic. It's really, I think it's reached its climax. The only thing I feel like could happen now is Ramona actually cheats on her, or he makes an advance to her, and I don't think she has talked about the doctor advancing to her yet. Maybe hitting on her in some calls, but not actually making sexual advancement, saying, come on, let's fuck. That will be the climax, and I'm waiting for that to happen. I think it might happen in the next call. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm really excited for, how Lorne will react when there's definitive evidence of the doctor making advancements to Ramona. But in terms of Derek, when Derek put his hand on her, I believe, and he's like, I don't want you touching her. He says, kind of be careful when you hold my girl. It's kind of like a threat. And I wonder what would have happened if Lorne met Derek. I reckon it would have been something that you could only imagine. An adult jealous of a 13-year-old boy. If they met in real life, I reckon Lorne would have just played the most arrogant fuckwit. He would have just been like, oh, Derek, yeah, no worries, mate, yep. Yeah, no worries, don't have time for you, mate, sorry. Okay, let's go. I'm going to go drive my truck with her because I've got a license. Hey, Cal. Like, he would have been so childish about it. I can imagine him, he'd give the kid eye contact, probably trying to intimidate him. But whenever Derek probably spoke to Lorne in real life, Lorne would have, just dismissed it, played like, oh, yeah, not listened to Derek, He would have acted more superior just because he's older. And, one life over another, there's no superiority, but there is weight lent to Lorne in the fact that he's an older person. He probably does warrant some respect, respect your elders, but he would have definitely played the superiority card that I can, drive Kayla around. I can do things for her that you can't. Completely oblivious to the fact that he's like 30 years older than her nearly. That's a great line there. Time changes everything. Life must go on. And I'm not going to stand in your way. And this kind of is what scares Lorne, because Lorne's getting older now. And I know when you're in puberty, a few years changes you a lot. But once you reach adolescence and young adulthood, you start to age a bit slower, in conjunction with, late 30s, mid 40s, you do age a lot as well, and in a more negative way. So, Lorne's getting older, life's going on. This here, I'm not going to stand in your way. That really reflects how Lorne kind of lies, not really lies, but manipulates Kayla in the chat. He tries to act as though he's not standing in her way. If this is too hard for you, baby girl, it's I know it's hard for you having a boyfriend who's this old and you can't tell your friends about him. I know it's hard, and I don't want this to, be hard for you. He acts like he cares about, affecting her life, and that he doesn't want to stand in her way, but he does. He really gets jealous, and whenever he does say things like, I'm not going to stand in your way, kind of, he actually doesn't leave the question or the statement open to a response. It's kind of just put there for Kayla to feel like, Lorne understands it's hard. Lorne, he feels, he can feel how you feel, kind of. Lorne cared very little for Kayla in terms of that, how she felt, even just anything besides sex. He would ask questions like, how's school? Did you get homework done? Never necessarily asked what the homework was. He didn't show any interest in, the subjects. Just, how's homework? Done homework? Good. That's it. He didn't show any interest at all. I can't even remember him asking about her extracurricular activities. The only one really was going to the mall shopping. He'd ask about, clothes, because, that fetish, what clothes you're wearing, what pants is he wearing. He'd kind of want to steer her into buying clothes that would satisfy his needs. But it's just, again, that I've got so many quotes on the tip of my tongue I can't say, because I don't know them exactly, but he just acted as though he wasn't in her way, but he was. But I loved her first, and I held her first, and a place in my heart will always be hers. Again, very, very relatable line to Lorne there, because he knows Derek liked her and she liked Derek, but in terms of true love and being able to hold her first is what he desires. And this whole argument comes up whether if Kayla was a virgin or not, would he still pursue her? I still think he would have, but the fact that she is a virgin and that he will hold her first and love her first does definitely play a big part in his persistence in pursuing Kayla. He persists for a month, talking every day, and I know that's Lorne. Lorne does that with any female online. He would talk like that with, but the fact that the possibility of holding and loving her first is definitely kind of like that extra incentive and prize that Lorne is very, very intrigued by. And he, you can see, he talks about it in the chat, like, are you going to be so excited about me having a penis inside you for the first time and things like that. And this also relates, like, I haven't really talked about the whole father figure part of it too and how it blurs with the sexual relationship. But just saying, like, so be careful when you hold my girl. He does kind of harbor thoughts similar to a father, like with Derek. If your 13-year-old girl was at home with Derek and he was making a move, me personally, I'd be 13's a bit young. I'd be like, oh, dude, settle down. Like, mate, don't do that with my daughter. She gets older, 16, 17, 18. Like, okay, fair enough. You can kiss her. Even 13, maybe a peck's fine. I don't know. People have differing opinions, but he really plays that sort of role too. Be careful. Don't let guys touch you. And even the first line of the chat log, the first few spiels he has, be careful of people on here. He kind of acts like the father figure, the protector, as Chris Hansen says. No one else in the world, again, playing kind of like the father figure. I love her. Place in my heart will always be hers. First breath she breathed when she first smiled at me. I knew the love of the father runs deep. That's kind of the blurring effect that Lorne has with Kayla. Obviously, it's more sexual, but he does care for her too, like a father, which is fucked up. And the fact that he didn't question that of himself and question his morality is just a really fucked up and narcissistic, egotistical piece of shit Lorne is. He just thought that he could get away with this, but he thought that without a doubt this was Kayla. Did he ever question it being a sting? I don't think so. He was scared that it wasn't Kayla, but I don't think he was necessarily scared of it being a sting. He was scared of just basically scared of getting caught, I think. But he never ever questioned whether Kayla was real or not. Well, at least I don't see any evidence of it. Where was I? I loved her first. I hold her first. Place in my heart will always be hers. We said that. First breath she breathed when she first smiled at me. Another fucked up thing Lorne talks about is his child, Anna Nicole Smith. Hannah Nicole. And Andrew Burkett made it clear that he's thinking of Anna Nicole Smith, that female, what is she? Just a model, that female model or porn. I don't know if she was a porn star, but Anna Nicole Smith, the Playboy chick. He's thinking of her, but he changes her Anna Nicole to Hannah Nicole. Now that's fucked up because he's really linking such a sexual prominent figure in society with his daughter. And that's another fucked up blurred line between, sexuality, parenting. You like if you were I know this is just I'll just have a basic example here. Not that I'm overly attracted to Paris Hilton or anything, but let's just say I had the hots for Paris Hilton. Imagine naming your daughter Paris Hilton. Like you wouldn't do that. The only reason I could think of you doing that is that you want her to become really attractive, and through becoming attractive, success. But you don't name someone after. Maybe you'd call her like Taris Hilton, or what's another name that sounds like Paris? Harris Hilton. I don't know. That's kind of what he's done. He's put a spin on Anna Nicole Smith to Hannah Nicole Smith, hoping that not Smith, Hannah Nicole. It was just Hannah Nicole. Sorry, Hannah Nicole Armstrong. He's put that name there maybe because he wants his daughter to be attractive, and giving her a name like that may somehow have some effect on that. But I definitely think it's because he finds Anna Nicole Smith attractive and he wants to maybe have some sort of attractiveness to his daughter. I don't know. Lorne's a pretty fucked up person. Did he have the capability of having a relationship with Kayla, having a child with her, and then continuing a sexual relationship with the child as Kayla grows up? So, Kayla would be in her mid-20s, and then they have a daughter, whatever. The daughter's 12, Kayla's 25, maybe not 25, maybe 30. Kayla's 30, the daughter's 14 or whatever. That would mean that Lorne could move on from Kayla and continue a sexual relationship with Hannah Nicole Armstrong. And people would say, oh, no way. Lorne's not capable of that. Lorne's just an opportunistic predator. Predators evolve over time. And once Lorne was going to have sex with Kayla, okay? End of story. He was going to go there, I think. Maybe it would have been awkward as fuck and he would have stopped, but he was going to try and do it. He was always going to try, okay? To the point where they were both naked. He was going to try and have sex with her, and if she started crying or something, whether he raped her, even though she didn't want it, I think could be disputed. He may not have raped her, but he would have at least tried to have consensual statutory sex with her, statutory rape, as it's called. So where was I? Going on with the daughter, I think I was saying. Completely gone blank. So Lorne pursuing a relationship with Hannah Nicole. He's fucked up. Predators, once you get that taste, I believe, for pedophilia, and when it's inbred in you as well, that being you're a sociopath, you're a narcissist, you're a delusional fuck, all those things, you can mutate and you can progress to a very more dangerous predator. And I think it was completely possible that he could have been someone that could have abused his daughter sexually. From the first breath she breathed. And the reason why I bring that up is because he talks about Hannah Nicole, and when Kayla has and gives birth to Hannah Nicole, that he wants to be the first one to touch her. I think he said that he didn't even want a male doctor in the room. He wanted to be the first male that she had contact with, Hannah Nicole. And that's fucked up. Like, whether there's anything sexual in that or not, it could be argued either way, but I think there's definitely some sort of relationship fucking messed up fucking thing going on there, because what does it matter if a male doctor touches your 1 second-year-old child? Like, your 1 second-year-old child's not going to be like, oh, fuck, like, that doctor, yeah, he's a guy. He's for me now. The first guy that's touched me. Like, no, it's some twisted fantasy Lorne had with a newborn baby, having touched the baby first, meaning like, you know, picked her up, not molesting. I don't think he would have molested a newborn baby, but that's fucked up. And when I read that in the chat, it was just so weird that Lorne wanted to be the first one there for the child of his. No other man in the room. I think this is like going back a year and a half now to when I read the chat log properly the first time. I didn't read it all, but most of it. I do think that Lorne said no male doctor in the room, so that means females were fine. The fact that that's there, I think there's some sort of sexual connotation to it. I don't know. I don't have the mind of a pedophile sick fuck like Lorne, so I can't really make a statement there on that. When she first smiled at me, that obviously is the picture of Kayla that he stares at for an hour or two. Those, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 photos or 5 photos there are of Kayla, and I think there's 3 different decoys in the picture. Andrew agrees too. He reckons that there's about 3 girl decoys. And that's when she first smiled at him. He knew the love of a father runs deep, kind of fucked up. But he did feel like the father at the start, but more of a sexual partner, I think. And I prayed that she'd find you someday. He's kind of reflecting on the fact that he prays that he meets her one day, because he's, again, in this song, he's both the father figure and the person he's, someone at the door, not the person that the daughter's looking for. So he prays that he's going to find her. You know, every night he was hoping to God that they'd meet up, that the plans would fall through. Still hard to give her away. I loved her first. You know, it'd be very hard to see Kayla go with Derek, go with someone else. That's what he was scared of, because, you know, Kayla's gonna grow up over the next few years. She's gonna hit, you know, 15, 16, and she's gonna realize that having a 40-year-old boyfriend is kind of not normal and kind of yuck and weird. And that's what he's scared of. It's going to be hard to give her away. And I think Lorne thought that it would come to that. Not that she'd be like, fuck off, leave me alone. It'd be like, look, Lorne, I don't think this is going to work. We're going to have to separate and try and, you know, find other people, because I'm 15, you're 40. It's just not going to work, Lorne. He was scared of having to give her away. And I don't think he could have. He would have been like, you fucking piece of shit. You fucking what? All this time. Have you been playing with me this whole time? Like, he would have done something like that. He would have gotten aggressive, I think. And there are instances where Lorne gets aggressive with Kayla when she's doing nothing wrong in the chat. You know, with how he had to wake her up in the morning. Sorry, she had to wake him up in the morning for her job, and he's, you know, getting a bit pissed off, saying, you better wake me up in the morning. And one of the calls, phone, just check that quickly. One of the calls, who was that? Okay. One of the calls he gets is along the lines of, where Kayla says what did she say? I've got to go. And he's like, oh, I'm almost done my cigarette, just wait. Like, you can even sense a bit of aggression and tension in that phone call. Just all of them in general. Like, he gets a bit annoyed when he's trying to figure out where and what's around her house. And he's like, well, where are the neighbors? Like, where'd they go? Oh, is there any woods? Can you tell me? Like, that's the sort of impression you get. He's already getting annoyed, and she's not even doing anything wrong. How could that beautiful woman with you be the same freckle-faced kid that I knew? The one that I read all those fairy tales to and tucked into bed all those nights. And the fucked up thing about this kind of little chorus here, this little, not chorus, but what's it called? I've gone blank. But is that Lorne is kind of maybe getting scared of Kayla growing up. Now, this is if Lorne, obviously he's not solely a pedophile, okay? He has dated people in their 20s, he's dating Ramona in 25 or whatever. He dated Paula, 25. He dated that Nikki chick who I think was like early 30s. He's dated people. He wanted to date Emma, who's Ember's, I don't know, like 30s, I think. So he can deal with dating people who are older. I do get that. But in terms of Kayla, it's debatable if he could love her when she'd grown up. Kayla was a cute, exactly what it says here, the same freckle-faced kid that I knew. She was cute for him, at least. He was attracted to her as she was. And she was going to grow up into a beautiful woman. And like, how could that how could that woman be you? The same girl that I read all those fairy tales to, tucked in bed all those nights. Kayla was going to grow up into a woman with opinions, a woman who could not be manipulated as easily, a woman who was going to have her own life that outside of Lorne, okay? Obviously with Lorne, but not completely with Lorne, okay? I'm in a relationship at the moment, and it doesn't solely revolve around her and me being together 24/7, me controlling her. She does what I want. My girlfriend goes and does stuff whenever she wants, okay? She doesn't have to tell me every second of the day. Lorne is scared of that. And he was worried that, as she grows up, her ideals, just her behavior in general was going to change. And he'd be like, how could this beautiful woman who's 24 now, who's older, Kayla Marie Armstrong if they got married, how could she still be the same kid I remember from 10 years ago in the chat, who did everything I said, and now I'm telling her to stay home and she wants to go out with her friends and we're arguing. This bit scares me too, the one that I read all those fairy tales to and tucked into bed all those nights. And that really reminds me of what could have happened on the first or second night if Kayla went back to Lorne's house. I can imagine him tucking her in bed. Well, he didn't have a bed, so he couldn't tuck her in. But if he eventually got a bed and they kept meeting up, I can imagine him tucking her in bed, reading her fairy tales and just all these fucked up things. It would have been completely messed up. You don't read fairy tales to your lover. I mean, you can go through fairy tales, but when it's to put them to sleep and it's because they're 13, I think that means you should take a good hard look at yourself. Seriously. Are you the dad or are you the boyfriend? Come on, you can't be both. And I knew the first time I saw you with her, it was only a matter of time. Kind of relatable. Possibly looking at Derek here again. It was only a matter of time before he swooped in and took her. But I loved her first. I held her first. Place in my heart will always be hers. And that really does kind of reflect now, because there's a place in his heart that's still afflicted by what Kayla did. Obviously, it's always going to haunt you. Kayla ruined Lorne's life. You could debate whether it was already ruined or not. I think Lorne's life was livable at that moment in time. It wasn't great, but he's in a first world country. He can still get his act together and get through life, okay? He scammed Betty. He's not going through the best patch, but you could pick up and move on, okay? Not after what happened on To Catch a Predator. I wouldn't be able to show my face again. And forever he will be haunted by it. I don't think a day will pass where he'll be able to take a deep breath in and say, God, life is good. I don't think there would be. He's always going to be afflicted by it First breath you take, first smile at me, I knew the love of a father runs deep. Prayed that she'd find you someday, but it's still hard to give her away, I loved her first. And again, the same thing. Someday you might know what I'm going through, when a miracle smiles up at you, I loved her first. Someday you might know what I'm going through. I don't think anyone will know what you're going through, Lorne. There aren't many people who get caught on To Catch a Predator. Only a few hundred people do. Not many of those 300 people actually get a religion built up behind them, a cult following. The only predator I think I would not want to be besides Lorne is John Canelli. John Canelli, obviously Jeff Stacey. The rest are, kind of okay. Obviously I wouldn't want to be any of the predators, but if I had to be one, it would be kind of those three. Jeff Stacey, obviously John Canelli. I wouldn't want to be Lorne either. But in terms of someday you might know what I'm going through, Kayla wouldn't know what he's going through. Kayla really was so oblivious to the situation. I don't know how Lorne didn't just question the scenario itself. He's such a naive man, and that's demonstrated now. He's still getting catfished by Ramona. And in that call, he does start to say, look, are you playing with me? It's been all these months. You haven't sent me video of you. He starts to question it. Lorne's learning, okay? He's learning, but he's learning too slowly. Come on, seriously, Lorne. Of course she's catfishing you, man. Of course she is. Yeah, I guess that's it today. I just wanted to go through the song a bit. Interesting song of choice. The whole father relation to it. But it's just unreal that a predator sang this to a girl over the phone. Unreal. And the sick and fucked up part about it is there are probably people right now in this world who have little girls in their captivity and sing to them. The world's a fucked up place, guys. So you always got to take a step back and remember that it's all fun and games. Predators were caught on this show, but there are a lot, millions probably out there. Hopefully not millions, but there'd be thousands out there who are on the loose, and unfortunately probably hurting someone. So a bit of a negative way to end a funny video, but I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Till next time, see ya.